All right, welcome to the Family First Life SkyPoint, Sky's the Limit training call. My name is Brandon Kitchings, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Family First Life Marathon. And we have two special guests joining us today. One, we have Miss Sandra Kehoe, who's Senior Sales Manager of FFL Tampa Bay, and newly Senior Sales Manager, Nicole Anthony, with the logo on the way. Can't wait to see that, what that's going to look like as well. And so I'm going to definitely be speaking with these two today. They're going to be sharing some great information on things that they're using to protect many families on a consistent basis, as well as what they're doing to grow their agency at this time as well. And so today I want to start with you, Sandra, if you don't mind. And first of all, I know, Sandra, for the month of July, you're able to go out and protect, 48 families, personally on your own for the month of July. And your agency, had a good month also. So definitely want to applaud you for that. And if we can, Sandra, everyone doesn't know Sandra Kehoe. So can you share a little bit, about, what you did prior to FFL, and one of your main reasons for joining FFL.
Of course. So I came from the car business. I was a finance manager in the car business. For anyone that knows anything about car business hours, I mean, you are basically a slave to the building. So in January of 2020, I found out that I was pregnant. Pregnancy and finance manager don't go well together. So I left the car business, came to FFL, did about 150,000 in 2020. That's when I was pregnant. In 2021, last year, I did 475,000 face-to-face, and have now recently switched to Telesale, which is something that I've really been wanting to do.
Okay, and yes, you're doing that. Everything now, telesales. Before, you're all face to face, and so biggest reason for wanting to make that switch at this time.
I mean, to be completely transparent, I burnt out in the field, and I applaud you, Brandon, for being, I know, and you mention it all the time. I think you did about 5,000 appointments all around in face-to-face. And that's tremendous, right? Is it around 5,000?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's tremendous. I burnt out at 475,000 last year in face-to-face, just being on a road, all the time, leaving at 7:30 a.m., coming home at 10 o'clock at night. New mom. I just wanted to find something that would allow me to maybe spend a little bit more time with the baby and keep the miles off the car, try to do it from home. And I struggled a lot in the beginning. Thank goodness I had you as my mentor on Telesale. I didn't really know how to take my face-to-face success and transfer that into Telesale, simply because, I mean, the struggle is, you can't read someone's body language. You can't read their facial expressions and everything. So it was just a lot more challenging for me to take someone through the process of, hey, I want insurance, to, okay, let's write the app and give me your bank account routing number. So thank you for allowing me to, teaching me to be able to get that information out of a customer successfully, often.
No, I mean, you're welcome. I mean, the biggest thing was, you wanted to do it, you were hungry for it, so you tracked down the information that you needed, to take your business where you wanted it to go. And so that's all, all on you. I can't take, credit for that. The fact that you put the work in yourself and made it happen. But I'm definitely, excited and, about the continuous work that we're going to do, here on the team, together. So, so the biggest thing, so you needed time for, to spend more time with the baby. And so the telesales, could provide that option. However, I know you still needed to make sure that your numbers were not going to take a hit, with this process, because as you always say, you have big girl bills, right? And so you got to be able to pay your bills, even if you're switching processes and things. So I know for last month, 48 families help. I think it was kind of split in terms of some in-home and some telesales. What did that dynamic look like last month?
So I think it consisted of about a little bit over 20,000 in face-to-face in between aged mortgage and EverQuote leads, like internet life leads. And I think most of that was a lot of door knocking in between, which is something that I did not do last year. And if I really want to be honest with myself, I think I was just above the door knocking, because in my head I felt, why, right? I'm already producing 50,000 a month, like clockwork. Why am I going to bother door knocking? I mean, that's crazy. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but I splurged a little bit financially last year, and unfortunately learned a lesson the hard way, where my mortgage mail took a little bit of a hit, and I overnight had to learn how to door knock. Right. So suddenly, I kept spending the money on all the mortgage drops, and then suddenly nothing came back in. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Right. After spending a bunch of money, after buying, doing more mortgage drops, nothing came back in. So I think a lot of us have unfortunately discovered that, mortgage mail is in the dinosaur ages, and the web leads are just the new way to do it. The new consistent way to do it, to be able to, I mean, sustainability, right? That's what it's about, being in business for a very, very, very long time. But yes, and I'm sorry, just to circle back to your question. So it consisted of face-to-face appointments. It consisted of a lot of door knocking. It also consisted of me being more comfortable in telesales and truly diving into telesales.
Yes, but the biggest piece that I like what you just talked about was, when things started going awry, you just didn't just sulk, and say, oh, my business isn't moving the way it used to. You decided to go out and door knock, right? And I know you had great success. You've had great success, knocking on doors. Could you share the numbers? Because I love the way you break down, excuse me, the way you're able to break down the numbers to the T based on, when you go out and door knocking, what does that look like?
Of course. So, just to circle back to the statement you just made, when things went south, I didn't stop doing it. And I think that's mostly because I had to, right? I have bills. I unfortunately, came into Family First with six-figure income bills that require me to make decisions that I maybe wouldn't have made before. So you operate differently when you have to, compared to when you have a choice, right? When your back's against the wall, you operate differently. Right. So yes, to drill down to the specifics, I needed to, and I think it was Mac that mentioned this the other day. I love the saying, compressing time. With door knocking, you have to mentally get accustomed to compressing time, meaning time is time, but you can make it work in your favor or you can make it work against you. So what I mean by that is I figured out that roughly for every 25 doors door knocked, it equals to about $3,000 in AP. Whether that means 3 applications at $1,000 in AP per, or whether it means 2 of $1,500 per, somehow, and it's crazy how it works this way. Somehow it always comes out to about $3,000 in AP, 25 doors. So it just comes down to how quickly you can compress those 25 doors. I don't know if anyone heard about this door knocking app called Road Warrior, but it's phenomenal. And I strongly recommend the paid membership in Road Warrior. What's the difference? Not much, 15 bucks a month compared to the free one. So what's the difference between 15 bucks a month of Road Warrior membership and the free one? Well, the difference is you can put about 130 addresses per route. And that's a big difference. Here's why. 7 addresses in your route compared to the capability of plugging in at least 50 is a difference in between you door knocking 15 to 20 doors per day compared to you door knocking 5 to 7 doors. Why? Because if you can just picture a map, right, a circle, call it a 30-mile radius, okay? Well, in this 30-mile radius, I could have an address, a lead here, 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 here. Well, imagine 7 leads here, 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 here. I plug those 7 in. I have to still drive across around this circle. Well, if I take 50 leads and they're all here, I could have 20 leads here, 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 right? So it allows you to take 50 leads and plug them into this application, and you're literally just going one by one by one. So that's the difference between you having a distance of 2 to 7 minutes in between per lead compared to 15 to 20 minutes. And you think, that's crazy. Why, does it really make that big of a difference? 5 minutes? It makes a tremendous difference when you compound it. It's like compound interest. Compound interest is incredible when it works for you, right? Like in IUL. However, compound interest is devastating if it works against you, such as a credit card, 26% credit card. Right. So imagine that with door knocking on time. Make time work for you, compress it. So when I'm in the field on face-to-face, I try to do at least 25 doors per 2-day run block, just to guarantee myself an extra $3,000, which if you do the math, it's an extra $6,000 a week, an extra $24,000 per month. That's tremendous. That's more than most people do the entire month. And you can just add that in door knocks, squeezing it in as much as physically possible.
I mean, and the numbers don't lie. That's what I love about it. And I said, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. And you're so great at always presenting the numbers. When we talk, you're like, hey, I already got my numbers right here. I'm like, oh, let me see the numbers, right? And the numbers are always, on point. So definitely thank you for sharing that and breaking down, why Road Warriors is so vital. If you're going to be out knocking doors, you definitely want to make sure that you're being very efficient, while you're out there, and you're not going back and forth, because that could be the difference of you getting into another 3-4 more houses, homes to help the clients versus you running out of time to get to those homes, right? So that you can provide the coverage. So now my thing for you is let's talk about
the rainbow.
You kind of spoke a little bit about your leads, the type of leads that you are running. Can you spend a moment on breaking that down, your lead flow, to get to 48 families, in a month, what that looks like?
Of course, absolutely. So I'm really, really big on working aged mortgage, simply because of the cost of it, right? Sometimes people think just because I made 6 figures in the car business that I came in with the ability to spend thousands of dollars on mortgage, and unfortunately, that wasn't the case at all. I didn't really save a whole lot of money. The mentality in the car business is, you live in that building, so you might as well just spend all the money you made working those 6 days and that 1 day that you're off. So I came in with no money. So I had to make it work on aged leads. And I always like resetting myself back to it because of that experience that I had with my mortgage drops failing, right? You have to be able to start from zero. So what do I mean by that? You have to be able to start from working aged leads and still producing a 6-figure income. It just requires a whole lot more work. So to drill down to the leads, it's a mixture of aged mortgage. It's a mixture of internet leads. It's a mixture of Facebook funnel expense leads, and really just making the volume work for you. And I think we spoke about it earlier. Your calendar should look like a rainbow. It should look like it's 15 years old. So what do I mean by that?
Yeah, can you share your calendar?
Sure. So this is what my calendar looks like. Wow. I color code everything. So everyone that I sit with is yellow. Everyone that I don't close has a red circle around it. You can see I have a lot of red circles.
Right.
Everyone that I do close has a green circle around it, right? And everything is about tracking. I can't remember who said it and when I heard it at some point, I think a decade ago, out of the many leadership books that I've read, someone said, you don't know where you're going unless you know where you are, right? So
Right.
the red is bad. People always run from the red because the red is you, right? The red is the negative you, the bad you, the failure. And we never, it is very difficult for us to understand that success comes from failing often and failing forward. Well,
Right.
if you can look closer, I don't have that many greens, but it equals to 48,000 per month because I have so many reds. So it's not just 1 week. This is, I mean, every week it needs to look like this.
Right.
You know exactly where I didn't work because you have white space.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
right? You know where I didn't work. So I want you to look at your calendar, and if your candle looks like this, we're in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, there's no whole lot in the bank, right? And this is one of those things where it's ugly because you have to, looking at this is, I mean, this is black ink on white paper with highlights, your work ethic, right?
Right.
And this, it hurts, but this is the part where you have to be honest with yourself. And, for whatever reason, people always think that, making 6 figures a year is magical and you have to have special talents. You don't have to have special talents. However, you do have to be willing to work consistently, work a lot consistently. Just like at your regular job, you would be working a lot consistently for a certain paycheck. We
Correct.
make a certain paycheck here too. However, we cannot accomplish that certain paycheck without our calendar looking like a rainbow. It should look very beaten up, right? I have whiteout everywhere, things crossed out. It's ugly. It's really ugly. If your calendar is clean, we're in trouble.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's huge. I mean, we hear it all the time. You got to get rid of the white space in your calendar. If you have too much white space, that means you have too much time where you're not working, you're not doing money making activities, right? And that's why we're not, helping families or making money, is because we don't have enough money making activities going on day in and day out consistently that allows us to get the results, that we see other agents getting, right? Because I tell people all the time, the results you see here at Family First Life, they're not given, they're earned. We earn these results. We put the work in, we make the sacrifices with our families, with ourselves, we make the sacrifices to be able to put the work in that's required to get the results that we want. Right. So the results are earned, they're not given. And we have to go out and put that work in. So definitely thank you for sharing, that calendar, going over those leads, and breaking down, how that calendar, transitions into the sales, right? That you're able to make and the families you're able to protect. Your process with your process now over the phone versus what you did in the home.
Yes.
What things did you have to change, in the two processes? Because they are different processes, right? What things, did you have to change, to get to where you're now comfortable, over the phone?
Just having a much calmer tonality. In the field, it's go, 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 right?
Yeah.
And in and out, just piling as many apps physically possible so you can get to the next appointment as fast as possible without crashing your car because you're speeding, right? That kind of stuff. On a phone, it's calm. You have to just make them feel comfortable enough to give you the routing, the account number, and the social. And so the building the trust part. But one thing that allowed me to get through it faster, and we weren't actually verbal about it until recently, is to count the presentations. Just like in the face-to-face sales, we count how many we sit with.
Correct.
It's just a lot easier to have a realistic view of what our week is going to look like.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's huge. That's tremendous. And I think, you know, you mentioned it maybe about a week ago, telesales makes you lazy. I mean, it makes you lazy in the sense that, you know, you're sitting down all day, every day, all week long. So you have to, you know, you have to keep yourself in check, you know, to continue, just keep going. Don't look out the window and, you know, just start dreaming off. You're not in the go, 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 you know, mode. So you have to keep yourself in check by piling in the amount of presentations that you need to accomplish your financial goals, whether that means that you're doing it because you have to, because your bills are that high, or
Mhm.
because you're doing it because you want to have a sense of accomplishment, right? The feeling of, I have accomplished this. This is my number that makes me feel accomplished every month, whether that means you want to hit 30,000, right? 30 families helped, or you want to hit 40 families helped, whatever that number is, you need to figure out how many presentations it takes you to get there. We all have our number. However, and I think maybe you agree with this, Brandon, I think that one of the biggest reasons why people fail, aside from the work ethic part, they never make it to figuring out how many presentations it takes them to accomplish their goals.
Mhm.
Because it's so hard to get to that first 90-day mark, to just pile on as many presentations as physically possible. And we all know the first 100 are the hardest, right? So
Right.
trying to, I guess, be more transactional about that first 90 days. But I think the first 90 days are the same no matter what, whether you make those 90 days or first 100 presentations or first 100 families helped, whether you stretch it to 9 months or 90 days, it's the same 90 days.
Correct. Correct. And that's huge what you said, like whether you get your first 100 done in the first 90 days, or if you stretch it to 9 months, it's still going to be the same. However, you stretching it to 9 months, that's almost like, it's like peeling the Band-Aid off slow, right? Like you're going to feel every little hair that is got, right, one by one, and eventually you might end up just putting it back on because you're like, it's just too much pain, right? You know, versus just ripping the Band-Aid off, right, and just getting it over with. And that's the breakdown of, you know, getting the first 100 appointments done in the first 90 days. You get them done in the first 90 days, you rip the Band-Aid off, and then now we can you know, deal with, you know, moving forward, healing and moving forward, and, you know, and failing forward, you know, versus, you know, peeling it off slowly and then ended up, you know, quitting because it's just too painful.
I did it because it was too painful. This is one thing that a lot of people don't know about me. I was actually in this business over a decade ago, not with six-figure income bills a decade ago, because I've never even made six figures. So there was no figure income bills to, you know, to have. But I did it that way. You know, I think I maybe had $900 a month in bills, right? I rented a room somewhere, $500 a month, and my phone and my car. So yeah, right about 900 plus food. So I didn't have a whole lot of bills. I got into business, and just like what you just mentioned, you know, it was very painful. I mean, I did it part-time, so mind you, there's that. However, that part-time, you know, I mean, it was a very slow Band-Aid. It was very painful for 4 years straight. So I maybe issued 35,000 in that 4 years combined while I was in the business. I mean, you can't compare it. That's a month now, you know?
Correct.
And the difference was, you know, I think I was very paralyzed by just all the stuff that's out there. And that's another thing that I really want to mention. You know, it's phenomenal that we have so many resources these days to help us catapult us forward faster. However, because I think we have so many tools out there, sometimes we forget about the bones of the job, which is someone that just asked for some insurance, and our job is to fill that request. And we get so caught up in the 50 million scripts that are out there that we forget, you know, as much as I am about the numbers, we have to remember that it's human beings on the other side trying to protect a family member, and they're just filling out some stuff to get that thing that they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So we can't act so robotic. So what do I mean by robotic? When we read scripts, we sound robotic. People can tell. I don't care if they're smart or not. People can tell if you're reading. So I strongly recommend you get off those scripts and sound like you, a version of you with the bones of the scripts, right? The psychology behind them, and focus on what's actually important, which is to fill that request, and don't get paralyzed. So if you feel, you know, you've been in the business for a little bit, you feel paralyzed, you feel like you're not having enough success, you don't even know where to start anymore, because at this point you have stacks over stacks over stacks of phone scripts and face-to-face presentations. I ask you to push it aside and remember, try to put yourself in the other person's position. And I understand that, you know, maybe your budget only allows you to dial age stuff where a lot of people, you know, tell you to walk off the cliff. I understand that. You have to counteract that with volume, right? Volume of dials.
Right.
So when I came in pregnant, I still had 6-figure income bills, meaning, and no money, right? Like no money, no thousands of dollars to spend on leads. So what did that mean for me? I purchased about 500 to 700, you know, give or take some. Once I got going, I spent about $1,000 per dial day, or, you know, per week on aged leads, internet leads, right? CRM leads. They weren't fresh, like fresh. So what did that mean for me? I needed to make sure that I make at least $500 per dial day, right? So I can speak to at least 25 to 50 people, so I can take enough shots, right? To book them, to get there. So it doesn't matter how paralyzed you are or how much you're struggling. If you're just counteracting that with volume, you will make a lot of money. And then once you add a little bit of expertise, it's lights out.
Lights out as your skills get better, right? Because our skills just increase, you know, as we continue to go through the process, just like anything else we've done in life, you know. Right? We didn't come out of our mothers walking, right? You know, eventually we had to learn how to walk, crawl first and stand up and wobble and then take a step and then start taking some steps and then we run it, right? Like then we just got better at doing that stuff the more we did it. So the same thing that happens here, the more you just go through the process, the better you get, right? Every day as you continue to do it. You know, for me, it's just about do I see myself getting 1% better every day that I do it? And if I can answer yes to that question, then I had a great day. Right. Yeah. Regardless of family's help doing that day or not, did I see myself getting 1% better today than I was yesterday? Yes. Okay. Win. Let's go to the next day. Right. And that's the biggest thing. That's the hardest thing to help new agents, you know, really get a grasp on, you know, like even through your failures, there's lessons that we're learning and we're getting better. Right. You know, even through those failures, and we have to fail forward. That's just how it is. And if you break down that word fail, you know, it stands for first attempt in learning. Right. So it means the first time you do something, you're not going to be great at it. Right. It's going to take time, you know, to get better at it. You know, and when we look at people, you know, for me, I always, you know, like to reference sports and things. The reason Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, and he'll tell you himself, is because he was willing to miss more shots than anybody else. That's the reason he's Michael Jordan. Well, and also the fact that he could glide. He could glide through the air and, you know, fly through the air. You know, everybody can't do that, have the hang time that he had. But the biggest thing was that he was willing to fail more than anybody else. He was willing to miss more shots than most people would even take. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's how he became Michael Jordan, you know. And so, and, you know, and then we look at, you know, baseball players, you know, the top baseball players, the sluggers, the ones that hit the ball the most, that get paid the most, they only hit the ball 30% of the time. They bat 300. They typically bat between 260 and 300. Those are the sluggers in the Major League Baseball that are signing $400 million contracts, right? And they only hit the ball roughly 30% of the time. But the fact that they're very consistent at hitting it 30% of the time, that's what allows them to get to the level where they're at. Okay. And the same thing with us. If we're only helping our families at 20 or 30%, that's good. We just got to be consistent at doing that. right? And doing it faster. The faster we can do it, the more consistent we at doing it, the more it's gonna, help us on the back end when it comes to us getting paid, for helping those families. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly where it is right now. I'm at less than 30% in closing ratio. Less. I think I'm right around 20. So you figure I'm at 20 presentations right now, and I have 4 apps in. So I mean, you do the ratio.
Right. Yes. But as long as we're doing that consistently, it's not always going to be 20. Sometimes it'll get to 30. It might even get to 40. But we know 20 is really like our baseline. Right. 20 is really like our baseline. So, so thank you for sharing that. And I'm gonna come back to you in just a moment as well. Nicole, you still with us?
Absolutely.
Yep, I'm still here. I actually
All right.
was taking a lot of notes. I have questions for Sandra myself.
Hey, right. Hey, that's what it's about. We're all here to learn, right? And I want to thank you, Nicole, and make sure everyone know, prayers. We've been praying for you. I know you're fighting, getting over COVID and things. So thank you for mustering it up today, getting on the call, with us. So we definitely understand if you have to, pause, take a call for things like that. It is what it is. So thank you for pushing for us today, and always being ready to do whatever it takes for the team as well. So appreciate you. So new senior sales manager, okay, working on a logo. How does right? How does that feel? How does that feel?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for having me on a call. You and Teresa, I mean, you guys are phenomenal leaders and phenomenal coaches. So thank you so much. But as far as like being a new senior sales manager, I remember when Teresa called me to tell me, I was just like, well, what does that even mean? I mean, I know what it means, right? And so she actually had to break it down to me. And so it started to sink in. And it's interesting because when you write things down, I remember a couple of years ago when I started this insurance journey and I, moved away from it, came back to it. It's just my passion. It's just what I love to do. I wrote down that, I wanted my own business and not knowing that I was going to be here in Family First Life where I can actually see that come to fruition. So that was really a full circle moment for me. Wow.
I mean, it's crazy, how, like you said, but the fact that you put it down on paper, right? And a lot of people, I'm a big believer in manifestation, right? Manifestation and the law of attraction, right? And so we have to manifest things that we want. We can't just talk about it. You have to put it on paper. So put it up somewhere where you see it every time you wake up, or you see it every time you're in your car, or something where it's constantly at the front of your what's that, mental lobe, you know what I'm saying? So at the front of your brain, right? It's always out front and you're seeing it. That's what allows us to manifest these things for ourselves. We have to let the universe know what we want. Right.
Absolutely.
In order for the universe to send it back to us, we got to let the universe know what we want. A lot of us spend a lot of time letting the universe know what we don't want, and then we get mad when we get it. Right.
Absolutely.
We talk about negative stuff all the time. We stay negative on things, and then we wonder why things continue to go negative for us, because we tell you we talk about negative stuff all the time. Right. And so the universe is going to continue to feed that back to us. So thank you for bringing that up. So now, I know we were waiting on the logo. Can't wait to see what that's going to look like. But first, I want you to kind of share with us something that, you and I spoke about last night, because I know that this was part of the reason, like why you wanted to build an agency. Right. And, with you, being pretty much kind of out of commission the last 3 weeks, getting over COVID, things like that. You kind of talked about, bills and things, and how, if it was just you producing by yourself, it could have got real tight on your bills for these last 3 weeks. But the fact that you're building an agency, there was some assistance there, right? Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah,
I mean, it could have gotten really ugly. Like Sandra was saying, it's just it could have gotten really bad because you never really know when you're going to get sick or you're going to get out of commission or something with your family member. So you just really never know. And just having the ability to continue to have, your team be able to reach out to other leaders on the team, also being able to still reach out to myself and also being able to build. And so right now we have a couple of people in contracting. We actually have my son coming on board. So he's, getting ready to be in, he's getting ready to start his pre-licensing, studies and do his exam. So we have things flowing. And, the great thing about this business is that you're in business for yourself, but you don't have to do it by yourself.
Right. Correct. Correct. And with that, what is, how does that, really truly help you when you're down and you can't do it for yourself? How does that truly help you as a business owner?
Obviously, I mean, with insurance, we know we have those team overrides, that we can get, that kind of, helps to, impact our income a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have that, and, we're able to, kind of still push our team, motivate our team, help them through that process while we're still down and we're not out here building. But you just kind of have to continue to build. And what it taught me, just these past few weeks is that, I have to build more. Not only that, there are people out here who are looking for something. We never know, where someone is. They could be making six figures, but they don't have a lot of time, or they have a lot of time, but they don't have a lot of money. And so we have an outlet. We just got to introduce it to more people. And that's what you and I talked about last night, is to be able to introduce this business and our process and our systems to more people so they can actually make a decision for themselves. And now it actually helps our family as well as the other families that we're trying to help every single day.
Yeah. And I think for new agents, I think the biggest hang up on that, and kind of piggybacking on what you were saying, because you just said it, introduce the business to other people, let them make the educated decision for themselves. A lot of us are very selfish, right? And we think that, oh, such and such won't do this because I'm not killing it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, such and such, they don't see me making money, then there's no way that they're gonna do it because they don't see me making money, right? But we can't go about it that way, because doing it that way, we're doing it very selfishly, right?
Right.
Because that's me making a decision for you, Nicole, to say, I'm not going to tell Nicole because I'm not making a lot of money, so she's not going to do it. So I'm going to make the decision for Nicole, not to say nothing to you because I know that you're not going to do it. So I'm really just making the decision for you very selfishly, versus me just at least presenting the information to you and allowing you to make the decision for yourself, right? So with that, is that how you kind of see it as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, like you and I, we have conversations all the time about, how we see different things and certain things. And that's absolutely how I see it, because a lot of times, you said it, people could be selfish in their own thoughts. You're just really transferring your beliefs to someone else without them even having the opportunity to see it. And then here they are, they go somewhere else, on someone else's team, they're killing it. And you're beating yourself up like, wow, I could have had my cousin on my team and we could have been doing business together as a family, or my high school friend or whoever. But instead of beating yourself up, just share the opportunity with other people, openly.
Oh,
And I do that a lot on Facebook.
yep. And that was actually going to lead me to the nice little transition right into my into my next piece, for you, because I know if you wouldn't mind sharing, some of the things that you are doing, to build your team at this time, because I know that you do a lot of sharing of what you do on social media and stuff, and what does that look like in terms of how it's getting eyes on your business, and then people are reaching out to you, if you don't mind sharing that.
Right. Like, so, people want to know that you're a real person, right? They don't want to just see business all the time. So I share a lot about, the things that I'm doing with myself, my family. And then I kind of segue a lot of times into something really funny, like, hey, by the way, since you're here, I mean, I know you need some insurance, right? And so, interestingly enough, that's how I get a lot of, organic leads. It's just by just saying something really simple, or maybe I saw something on the news, or maybe I'm, out and about, like in Target or wherever I am, and I see something and I mention it on social media, and I'll say, I can't understand why people do, X, Y, and Z. And then I'll post it, not really, thinking it's going to give me, any type of engagement. It's just really, I'm just sharing my day-to-day life. And I just really feel like a lot of times, like, people want to see that you're a real person and see that they can actually relate to who you are. And that's really how you actually have to, build a team too. You have to build a team in a way where you know that you actually want to work with these people, not
Right.
just picking someone because, they may not mesh with your team. You have to interview folks just the same way that you would with, a regular job.
Right.
And so when I'm engaging on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it is, I'm engaging with people that, I know, like, and trust. And
Right.
those people know, like, and trust me as well. And so, excuse me, we're in a place where they can, now come to me in my inbox, or, text me like, hey, what is it that you're doing?
Right.
Or I'll see someone, like earlier today, I saw someone like a bunch of my insurance posts. And, then she jumped in my inbox, just asking me questions. And so really you just kind of have to cultivate those relationships. And you may think it's just taking time, but just cultivate those relationships, because we're on social media anyway.
Yep.
Take a few minutes out of your time and just kind of continue to cultivate those relationships. Ask people questions about their life. They want to know that you care. People want to
Right.
know that you care about them. And that's what I do. And it's always interesting when I get these random tags from, folks that I've never met in person. We're just friends on Facebook. And because I'm not a secret agent, like you guys say all the time, folks will start to tag me in posts and, on other people's pages and different groups. And that's where get a lot of my engagements from when it comes to organic social media.
Man, yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And you hit the key word. Don't be a secret agent, right? Don't be
Hmm.
a secret agent. Everybody and their mama should know what you do.
Right,
Everybody and their mama. They
right.
should know what you do, how you do it, all of that good stuff. In their interests, maybe they're asking you questions and things like that. So definitely thank you for sharing that. And so before I go back to Sandra at this time, because I do want to at least leave a little bit of time for some questions if anybody has any questions for you. So when it comes to building building your agency, building your business, any tips that you would have for, let's say, new agents that's just joining the team right now, just getting their business started, maybe a month, less than 90 days in the business? Any tips that you would give them on how to get started, building their business, right away, and why it's important, to start as soon as possible?
What's crazy? You probably gonna kick me for this because you actually said this to me and I didn't listen. So if you could learn from my mistake, definitely listen to this one piece of advice, is that start right now.
Yeah.
Just start right now. I mean, it just, because a lot of times, like, people want to wait. Like, I want to know all the scripts, I want to know all the products, I want to know, all the products in this company and all the products in that company and how this works. But we have such a great system here, in this company, on this team, that I don't see why you wouldn't want to build. So start right now. Just start talking to people about it. Start inviting people to these different meetings that we have every single week. We have 100 meetings every Monday, every Thursday. And so start inviting people, even if they're not in your own backyard. Reach out to the event coordinator and let them know that you have someone coming. You can be, I'm here in Maryland, I can send somebody down in Florida or
Right.
somebody in Arizona, because I know that I have teammates there, not just, teammates that are on our team, but
Correct.
other people that's in, the company. We're all teammates when you really take a step back and look at it. So start right now. Don't wait, and just share the opportunity with other people, and you may find someone who is who really wants to run with you, because a lot of times, like your logo marathon, it's a marathon. You have to have someone there to run with you. You have
Right.
to have someone there to to really pick you up when you're down, and vice versa. So, hold on to someone's coattail, knowing that you have help. You don't have to know everything. Just really, just start.
Right. No, no, thank you for sharing that. I mean, because it is really important, that we get, we start as soon as possible. And like I always tell people, maybe you find somebody better than you, right? And that's what you want. Maybe if you find somebody better than you, that's
Right.
actually better at doing this than you are. But at least now you're working with them, they're on your team, and you can learn from them along the way, to as you get better. Right. So don't discount that. But definitely thank you for sharing that, Nicole. And then Sandra, same question for you, on the production side. And I know you're building as well. FFL Tampa Bay is doing their thing as well. But on the production side, what tips would you would you share, for a new agent starting right now, maybe less than 90 days in the business? Eyes are just wide open, seeing all the lights, all the pretty things, and what type of tips would you share with someone like that, when it comes to producing and being able to really get your production up?
So aside from really two things, one we already spoke about, you have to compress time, make volume work for you. You need to pile in as many people as physically possible. This is on the job training. You cannot learn this stuff in books. You can't learn it in a classroom. You have to be in the field. Like, you have to. This is the stuff that, well, I don't know all the questions. Well, of course you don't know the questions because I haven't asked them. And you don't want to expose yourself. You have to expose yourself, right? So that's number one. Make the volume work for you, not against you. And number two, and this is this is one of the most challenging things to have a new agent understand. You have got to be okay with not having the answers. Be okay with sounding new. Well, I don't want to sound like an idiot. It's okay. They want you to sound like an idiot. The customers love buying from people that don't know what they're doing, because it makes them think they can get one up on you.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing that was taught to me in the car business when I didn't know anything about cars, and I still don't know anything about cars. I still sold a lot of them, not know anything about cars, because they don't buy the cars, they buy you, right?
Yeah, right.
And no one can believe this. I sold so much. I sold so many cars when I didn't know anything. I mean, I'm talking nothing, because the number one thing that people always think about car salesmen is that guy or girl is going to rip me off. Well, a new person doesn't know how to rip anybody off, right? So just like with selling insurance, they think they're getting one up on you. If you have to call for everything, they love a new person. It's like fresh blood in front of them. You got to understand, those 75-year-olds, you're not the first person that's sitting in front of them. You're the eighth. They got fresh blood in front of them. Take advantage of your greenness.
Right.
Customers love for agents to call 15 times in the home, call their boss, right? Take advantage of it. So for the love of God, don't be that new person that has to have all the answers before they even ever speak to a customer, because they'll quit. You're not going to make money. That's the truth of it.
Correct. And like I've always said, these clients, they only care about how much you know when they know how much you care.
Yes.
That's it. And I was very green in the beginning, making my transition from mortgages over to insurance. Didn't know anything. Like you said, didn't know anything. But Steven said, "Hey, go to the house, sit down with them, have them answer your questions and fill out the sheet, and then send me a picture of it." I said, "You sure?" He was like, "Dude, just do what I say."
Yeah.
Right? And then I go do exactly what he say. Go sit in the house, and he told me, be very honest with them. Like, don't go in there acting like you know everything, and then they ask you a question, and then you get stumped, and now you lose credibility. Be honest with them. So I would tell my clients for the first 6 months, I was telling all my clients, hey, I'm new. I'm nervous today too. I would tell them, I'm new, I'm nervous. However, I know I represent great companies. I have great support. That's going to make sure whatever we do today is going to be the best thing for you and your family. Does that make sense, Ms. Jones? And Ms. Jones be like, yeah, baby, that makes sense. Right. I'm like, okay, so now it's just about, like you said, getting the information, and then filling out my sheet and then just sending that picture over to Stephen, to my upline, and then waiting a couple minutes for him to just come back and say Americo, and I just got used to every time I would hit him, he would say Americo. So I was like, okay, so it makes sense. Just go with Americo, right? Like, just go with Americo. Because every time I send him something, he just says Americo. Okay, so let me just go with Americo. I started learning on my own after going through it enough times, right? But what you said just makes so much sense. Take advantage of your greenness, right? And go out and fail your way forward and get through the process. So, thank both of y'all for sharing that. I would like to open it up if anyone has any questions for either of the ladies at this time. You could definitely put your questions here in the chat group, and I'll read those off. Maybe both of you did a great job, because I know you really did do a great job of going over everything. We may not have questions, and sometimes that's a good thing. That means we did a great job of breaking everything down. So while waiting a minute or two just to see if we get a question, is there anything else that either of you would like to share at this time?
Let's drill on the financial inventory sheet, because I think we used to mention it a lot because it's part of the basics, but just to circle back to it, that and again, I go back to all the things I learned in the car business, because it allowed me to excel so much financially. That financial inventory sheet, which we have in the car business too, it's called a Foursquare. That's your money map, right? It was explained to me like I was a little kid in the car business, because I pretty much was when I started. That's your treasure map, right? Can't find the money, can't find the gold without filling out that treasure map. So that financial inventory sheet, that's huge. That tells you everything you need to know. But most importantly, really the point of it, and you don't know that when you're new, the point of it really is to trick you, new person, into building a relationship with the customer, to build enough trust to get their social and their bank account information out. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
That's why it's really to trick you into building rapport, because you're sweating, you don't know how to do it. So it's subconsciously that's what you're doing when you're asking them 7 million questions, because you're naturally creating dialogue when you're asking all these questions. You buy 15 minutes of time. That's what you're doing. Just like naturally. So when you start out brand new, you don't know, you're suddenly, everything is forced. It's like you forgot how to be a human being. You forgot how you normally naturally build relationships at a Publix or a Walmart. I can't use Florida stores, at a Walmart or whatever, or at a hair salon. All the natural, organic dialogues that you have on a day-to-day basis, they're like out the window when you're in the home. You don't know how to be a human being anymore. So it's forcing you to take the thinking out. That's why that financial inventory sheet is huge. So look at it like your money map, treasure map, to find a treasure. Correct.
So if you know that if you complete that form in entirety, it's going to give you that much more of a chance to find the treasure, right? To locate the treasure. Then you're gonna take the time, to ask the questions, to get the answers, to get your sheet completed, right? Because by you asking all those questions, that's going to help you get around and find exactly where the gold is, right? So thank you for breaking that down. Hey, can't get a better tip, from a Hall of Fame producer than that one. So definitely thank you for that. And looks like, we have no more questions. We don't have any questions. So I think we, did a great job of answering a lot of things. So I just want to, take this moment just to thank the two of you at this time for coming on, sharing this information, with not only, our team, the SkyPoint, agency, but the entire FFL, right? And continuing to, pay it forward, because Nicole, you did have one thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, it's some questions I think in the Q&A.
Dig it,
I
bro.
think folks
If you want to go ahead and take
throwing
it.
some questions. I think this one is for Sandra. How old should the age mortgage lease be?
Ah, that's good.
So, okay, how do you see it? I don't see
Yeah,
any.
I've just seen them here. Yep. So how old should the age, or let's say, how old shouldn't they be?
How old shouldn't they
But
be?
they ask how old should they be, but definitely also address like how old shouldn't they be as well, not going back too far.
So you have to understand, and again, nothing works without the work ethic part. I mean, I don't care how old the lead is. If you dial a lead 30 times and you show up at their house, you're gonna sell something at some point. So you need to figure out, first you need because the reason you're trying to figure out how old, obviously because you want to see success rate, right? A result. Well, the result happens with all of them. It's just how often it happens, right? So you want to imagine the funnel. The older they are, the more you have to put into the work ethic funnel, right? If you're working a year and a half old leads, you need to definitely have $500 a day. If you're trying to accomplish 10 families helped per week, right? You have to. Again, we're compressing time. That's what we're doing. So I have worked 3 to 9 month leads. Then I went back into my old mortgage leads because I realized I completely dropped the ball and by feeling like I was above door knocking, because I only called them, right? So then those leads were a year and a half old, still squeeze that money out of them. So there's no right or wrong answer in regards to how old they should be. However, I mean, whatever you can afford, that's a great lead.
Yeah.
If you got $500 to spend, I mean, you can't buy $80 leads. Mm-mm. How many are you going to buy? Not many, not even 10, right? So if you got $500 and you buying mortgage leads, I mean, you need to buy 9 to 15-month-old mortgage leads. And those leads, I strongly recommend you make at least $500 in that dial day for your next 2 run days, and then pop them all into Road Warrior. I mean, I'm talking all of them, right? All of them. So if you're buying, say, 100 something leads, however much they cost, $3 to $5, all of them need to be in your Road Warrior. You're going to have 20 bad numbers. So take 20, well, let's take 30 out. Take 30 bad numbers out. Now you're down to 70 leads out of 100. You're going to get in touch with maybe 25, right? And the rest of those, pop them to Road Warrior. You're going to guarantee yourself $6,000. Easy. Just with that. No talent, no nothing. Just right there. Compressed time, pop them all into Road Warrior. Dial them all for the 12 hours. And I know it's a lot. If you can't do the 12, push through a 10 with like a little lunch break. Like I got it down to the minute to get 10 grand.
I mean, it makes sense. It really does. And one more question for you, Sandra, as well. Since you switched over to telesales, how many appointments a day is your target? Is what Marjorie wanted to know.
So I don't operate on appointments. I operate on presentations, how many people I can take through the process, because I changed my word track. I used to have my word track of, do you have 10 minutes right now or later on today or tomorrow? However, what I have found is that everybody would tell me, oh, 2 hours from now, oh, 3 hours from now, just get me off the phone. So I ended up having, 40, 50 appointments per week, but like a 20% show ratio. Correct. So I switched my process to just taking everybody through the process, steamrolling them through it and waiting for them to push back, right? So I'm going to answer the question as if you ask me how many presentations per day I have, because I operate that way. So I have about, give or take, the goal is 8 to 10 presentations per day, on a low side 6. So if you can see it right here, you can, right, all the yellows sit with, as in how many people I take through the process, whether that means that I lose them at social or I lose them at wherever, it's the process. So they go yellow, right? And I don't cheat myself on it. I don't count them as no-shows just because I only had them on the phone for 8 minutes.
Correct.
So you can see, I mean, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 people taken through the process per day, 2, 4, 6, 7 a day, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, that's 8 to 10, give or take, low side 6. And then that's how I guarantee give or take about 8 to 10 families per week, roughly.
Yep. Just focusing on the presentations, right?
That's it.
You know, not the appointments, and that's been huge for us, right? Because instead of us getting down on ourselves when we do an appointment and we don't close the appointment, and we're worrying about, oh, we didn't help that family and what we could have did to help. Now we just focus on presenting the information and presenting it in a good context that's going to allow this person to make an educated decision, and whatever decision they make, we live with it, right? Because we've done our job, which is really just to present the information to them. It's not our job to sell them the insurance. Our job is to present the information that they requested, and what they do with that is totally up to them. And we're going to live with whatever happens, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we actually present it to the family. Right.
Absolutely. Just presenting it. And people never believe this, 10 families a week. That's not like me being super special talented, presenting 12 and closing, 10 families. Like, look at the non-closes. Everything that's red is not closed. Can you see how many people I took through the process and said no to me?
A lot.
You have to wrap your mind around this. This is brain damage right here. Like, you think you're the only one that gets frustrated? This is solid brain damage.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yes.
But it's definitely worth it, right? All right. So thank you for that. And then we had another last question. I don't know who's this. How have you been able to overcome? Okay, so I guess this will be back to you, Sandra. How have you been able to overcome the Social Security and the payment info objection when doing the telesale?
Great question. I struggled with it. This one was huge. You have to tell them up front. So like, we're setting a table on a face-to-face, Mr. Customer, on a face-to-face, what's going to happen today? I take care of 2 things. 1, the approval, 2, the payment, right? Obviously it's got to fit in a budget. I'm going to compare the carriers against each other. We're going to send the application in. I do the same thing now on the face-to-face. I set the table on what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. As crazy as it sounds, psychologically, you have to prep them. Like, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You ready? Just like when you give your kids a bath. Okay, I'm gonna put the water over the head. You ready? 1, 2, 3, and then right, it's like that. Yep. So that's what you're doing with your customers. You're getting them ready for it. I'm gonna ask you for your social. You're gonna be okay, right? You're gonna be okay. I'll be okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask you for your social right now, right? So that's how I do it. So when I do ask them for it, it's very natural and organic, because I don't say, okay, and what's your social security number? I say, I'll do it real quick with you, Brandon, 30 seconds, because I know it's 3:02.
Yep.
Okay, Brandon, I'm in your enrollment application right now. Can you please spell your first and last name, how it appears on your driver's license?
Yep. Okay,
great. Date of birth?
Yep.
Okay, great. And what is the physical mailing address I'm putting on the application? Boom.
Yep.
How long have you been living at that address for? 6 years. Okay, great. Height, weight, great. Non-smoking, smoking, non-smoking. Okay, great. Most important part, who's the beneficiary? Julie Roberts. Okay, great. What's her birthday? Boom. Social, what? Social. My social? Yes, your social. That's how they check the health. Whatever, 1324855, blah, blah. Okay, great. And again, for the banking verification, because I tell them, I set the table. When we send the application in, Julie, the insurance company's gonna check for 3 things. Identity, you're gonna make sure you are who you're supposed to be, just like legally I was required to send you a copy of my license. They're gonna do the same thing on you. 2, health, you need to make sure you didn't have a heart attack yesterday. 3, banking, you need to make sure if your health is approved, that they're going to be drafting that first premium out of your bank account, not your neighbors. Ha ha ha. Right. So when I now ask them, okay, great. Now, Julie, if the insurance company approves your health, will they be drafting that first premium out of a regular bank account or a credit union? A what? A bank account. Oh, okay. What is the name of the bank? Chase. Okay, give me just one moment so I can hop into my banking portal and look up the routing number. I'm prepping them to tell them I can get your routing. Don't fight me on the account number. So when I now,
right.
I'm saying it, I'm basically narrating what I'm doing out loud to them. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay, Chase Bank in Louisville, Kentucky, boom, 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 boom. Okay, and just to verify, Julie, that routing number is 263-155, blah, blah, blah. Is that correct? I don't know. I need to look. Okay, please go ahead and look. That will be the second set of digits on your checkbook. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Is that correct? Yep, that's correct. Okay, great. And then I'm ready for the account number whenever you're ready. Can you hear how it's natural? I wish I could see your guys' faces. Does this seem natural?
Yes, very natural.
Or a number or something, if it's resonating with anybody? Because this is the difference between me getting account numbers and not.
Right.
Right there. It's very organic and natural, just like, and I got this from you, Brandon. I didn't know that you were actually doing this in the beginning when you were like, now on a recorded line, my national producer number is 168-42746. I kept saying it, not actually recording any lines. I thought that he was just saying this to like sound legit. You were actually really recording the line, but this is stuff that makes you sound legit because as a Bank of America, I mean, you work bank. That's the legit stuff they say. So I'm like, all right, I'm a Bank of America rep too. I'm gonna put it on my national producer number. This is the stuff that makes you sound like you're not a scam.
Correct. And the good thing, we're using systems that are recording, our calls. So we're not, lying to them. The calls are being recorded, and I hope you are recording all your calls, because especially if you're doing telesales, because that's the difference between a client saying that you said something and you didn't, and you not having proof to prove that you didn't.
And
right.
It happened to me too.
And it happens. So that's why I'm making sure all my calls are recorded. Right. The same reason why the bank did it. And just to hit that before we jump off, Stephen Yee always told me, I go back to like, man, that's why I try to get everybody to make sure you're getting on these trainings week in and week out that Stephen Yee does on this team. He's by far one of the best trainers in this company. He trained me when I didn't know nothing. When I know anything, he trained me and helped me get to where I'm at. But he always talked about not kidnapping your client. Don't kidnap them. That he's always, I used to have so many problems getting banking information in the house, let alone over the phone. I wasn't even doing it over the phone at that time. I was in their house sitting right in front of them and showed them all my my driver's license. I done showed them my state license. I didn't even show them my kids' pictures, all type of stuff, to try to build the rapport and get the confidence, and then they still would not give me the banking information while I was in the house, but until he asked me that question, are you walking them through the process first? Or are you just slamming them through it? I'm like, I'm just going in and trying to get it done. No wonder you're not getting the banking information, because you're kidnapping everybody, Brandon. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're kidnapping them. You're taking them somewhere where they don't know they're going. So how about we stop doing that? Let's run them through the process first, show them exactly what you're going to do, what you're going to be doing today, and ask them if they got a problem with that. And if they don't have a problem with it, we move forward. If they got a problem with it, at least now you're out of there within 5 minutes. Right? Because there's no need for you to sit there and try to beg them to protect their family. Just go to your next appointment. And once I started doing that, everything changed. So I make sure that I don't kidnap every person that I talk to. They want to walk you through the process and, hey, any problems with this at all? You have any questions? Nope, you good? Let's keep moving, right? So thank you for answering that, throwing that out there. Apologize, you guys. I kind of missed the questions, but we got them in. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Again, Sandra, Nicole, thank y'all. Very excited about, you guys' continued success. Waiting to see, where you guys' agencies go, from this point forward. And Nicole, we're definitely excited about seeing that logo. So I want to thank y'all for coming on and sharing with everybody. Again, SkyPoint's the high point. And we love you guys. Have a blessed day.